Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Product Spotlight. I have two amazing guests joining us. I have Sara Chambers and Gavin Betker. How are you both doing?
Great, thank
Thanks,
you.
Tracy. How are you?
Good. So today I'm joining these two from Backswath Management, and we're talking about the power of peer groups. I am so excited about this, and I'm so excited to dive right into the conversation. Before we do that, Sara, I'll get you to introduce yourself and what you do with Backswath, and then same for you, Gavin, and then we'll get rolling. Sara.
Great. Yeah. So my name is Sara Chambers, and I manage the peer group program at Backswath Management.
Excellent. Good. And Gavin?
Hi there, Gavin Betker. I am a consultant at Backswath Management, a farm management consultant. I do a little bit of teaching, and I facilitate one of the peer groups. So that's why I'm here today.
Okay, excellent. And Gavin, do you want to share a little bit more about Backswath and what you guys do?
Sure, I'd love to.
Whoever wants to do that one.
Yeah, no, I can take care of that one. So we are a farm management consulting company based in Winnipeg. We have consultants across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. And we provide a variety of management consulting services, such as succession planning, strategic planning, contract CFO services, HR management, bookkeeping, and then, of course, the one that we're here to talk about today, we set up and facilitate peer groups.
Excellent. Oh, peer groups. This is something that's super common in the entrepreneurial world. It's big, it's encouraged. In agriculture, it's somewhat unique and new, and that's why I'm excited to chat about this today. You guys have actually been doing this for a while, facilitating peer groups. Do you want to touch on how this first came up, how it came about, and why you guys have really worked to add that to your list of services that you provide farmers?
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, Backswath, we've been facilitating peer groups since 2012. So there was originally a small group of farmers that approached our president and CEO, Terry Betker, and asked him if he would be interested in facilitating a farmer peer group. So that's really how it got started with Backswath. It's certainly grown since then, but those are our roots in peer groups. And there's a couple of reasons why we didn't just leave it at that one peer group and why we're expanding. Really what we find is that farmers are looking for opportunities to have an advisory network of their peers, of, people that can give them advice beyond the chat in the coffee shop, beyond those friendships or informal relationships in their community. So peer groups really offer the opportunity to be a social and professional advisory network. So when I say social, it's more than just business conversations. They're really forming relationships, friendships with each other. I mean, as we all know, farming is family business as well. So a lot of the conversations that come up can be related to family, and members will help each other, get through struggles, give advice, things like that. So, all of that advice, that training that they get in the peer group really helps them to be better managers overall and more confident decision makers on the farm.
Excellent. And I could see why, for various reasons, and we're going to get into that, why this would be such a hit with farmers. One of them that I thought about right away is farming's a very solitary profession. You're out in the fields, you're working with the animals. And if it's not your family, you don't often get to socialize a lot. So I could see where this would be a big hit with farmers for that reason, and a lot of the other ones that we're going to go into. Okay.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that. So you offer several different types of peer groups. Do you want to share a little bit about the different types that you offer and who they're aimed at?
Yeah, definitely. So we have three different sectors of our program, or three different types of peer groups, like you say. So the first is our farm management group. So that is for owners and senior decision makers of the farm. The second type of group that we have is for our emerging farm managers, and Gavin's going to talk about that. That's, one of the reasons why we're here today. So we're going to go into that in a lot more detail. But the emerging farm manager program is for people who are not yet the senior decision makers, but one day will be. So the farm will be transitioned to them in the future. And then the last type of peer group that we offer is for agribusiness owners. So it's really that ownership level, people with, financial visibility, but focused on agribusiness rather than farming.
Excellent. Okay. So today, I think we're really going to hone in on the emerging farm managers peer group and really chat about that one. Would you guys like to dive in and talk about that one specifically, who it's meant for, and some of those details?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, it's like Sara mentioned, it is for younger farmers, but it's not just about the age. It's more about where they are in their management careers. So it has the same benefits of our regular groups, but we've built in some more structure around the professional development aspect of it. So they still get the community of support and the relationships and the networking and the platform to share ideas, but we've built in some more structure to it. We identified a bit of a gap between the ages of around 18 to 30-ish. And again, it's not about the age specifically, but whether the young farmer goes to university or gets some off-farm experience, what next, right? What next? How do they continue their professional development? And a win-win is to do that in a peer group while getting all those other benefits.
Love it. Okay. So we know who it's for, who it's targeted to. Why don't we dive into the peer group? How does it work? Because I think for a lot of people in our audience, we're going, what? Peer groups? What is this? So do you want to walk us through what a peer group looks like to give our audience a better idea?
Sure. And I'll tell you all about the way that we've structured the Emerging Farm Managers peer group program. So it's a mix of online and in-person meetings. So there's 5 or 6 online meetings per year, and there's 3 in-person meetings throughout the year as well. And we schedule them around the demands and the seasonal demands of farming, and depending on the group's own schedule. So we do have one of those in-person meetings at one of the farms or a nearby center near one of the farms, so that there's going to be farm tours as well, which is always a fun and popular component of the peer group. It's a 3-year program, so we do that same kind of cadence of meetings for 3 years. And there's some main pillar topics that we cover in the professional development aspect. And so those are finance, strategy, HR, and then we have technology and operations and trending topics to fill out the rest of those pillar topics. So in finance, we acknowledge that each of the different members are going to come with a different level of financial management capability, and their farms are going to have different, different capabilities of financial management on their farms. And so we start with kind of an assessment and an overview, and then we build towards, though, over the 3 years, we build up the education and the capabilities, and we have the members develop an actual financial plan for their farm. So similar in the strategy topic, there's elements of a typical strategic plan. At the end of the 3-year program, they have a plan, a strategic plan that ties into the other topics, finance and HR, but it's specific to their farm. So there's benefits back to the farm too. And obviously, professional development of the next generation is huge for any farm. But while they're doing that, they're also getting these benefits back to the farm. The HR topic is less about the transactional HR type work, and it's more about managing the HR resources. And so every farm is going to be different. We have some smaller and medium-sized farms and some large farms, so a few employees up to many. But it's about managing the HR resources, whether they're family or non-family. And then the last one, technology, operations, and trending topics. That part is member driven. And so we allow the members to bring up some technology that they've adopted on their farm or some operational best practices that they want to share with each other. So that was largely member driven. And those are the main topics. To kind of close out how it all works is we do have the structure laid out, and for meetings, we send out the topics, and we have some pre-work, either watching some videos, reading some articles, or doing some exercises about the topics that are going to come up. And then that just enriches discussion. So, they'll have some thoughts. We'll have a much more in-depth discussion at the meeting. And then, of course, in each meeting, we also allow for farm updates, management updates, and some social time, so that the trust and the relationships build, which then just enhances the support and the benefits that the members get out of the group. That's kind of how it all works.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about benefits right away, but I want to give my thoughts here as a farmer and an industry person. Okay, let's say a farmer leaves university or college, or they do or don't, but you love the farm world, you leave schooling, you go back to the farm, and you get busy farming. Like I said, you're very isolated often. The excitement, community, you get out to trade shows. That's that world. You leave university to go into the industry like I am in. You have networks, associations, courses, all kinds of development. And not only are you learning, but you're also networking. So to me, and I'll get you guys to go through what you see as the benefits. To me, this is bringing all the best of learning and networking to an industry that typically doesn't have this. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And it's it's funny, Tracy. It's kind of hard to build. You kind of, in your question, you did hit the nail right on the head. So networking and learning is what we developed this emerging farm manager peer group program for. It's what you get out of our other peer groups. And so I guess the main difference here is just we've added a little bit more structure around the learning. On the networking component, though, I guess I'll add one thing is we carefully select how the groups get put together. And so typically you're not you're not in a group with farms that are super close to you. And so that allows sharing and sharing at a deeper level than you might at the coffee shop. Like going back to what kind of Sara said earlier in the conversation, the groups do become close. There's communication that happens outside of the meetings, through different communication channels. And so the networking is huge, and the more in-depth networking, the development of those relationships, and then of course the learning.
Excellent. I like this idea, and I've benefited from similar things in the industry. And as an owner or CEO of a business, it's often a very lonely road, same as farming, right? Because it's just your family, and there might be things you don't want to talk to, or, you've been there, done that. Same with a CEO. You don't necessarily want to speak to your spouse all the time or your staff all the time, or they don't get it because they're not in it. So when you can find a group of like-minded individuals, it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air too, right? The learning, the networking, but it's also like, somebody gets me, like that kinship. Anyways, that's what I'm seeing out of it.
Yeah. You're totally right. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we kind of chatted about the benefits, reasons. I don't know if you want to dive into that a little bit more before we move on, but I think we kind of nailed the networking, learning.
That's the core. We went over the topics. We'll talk a little bit more. I think in upcoming, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the additional unique aspects of our groups, and we're excited to share those as well.
Do you want to go there right away? I think that's the next one that I wanted to talk to you about. Benefits. Do you want to talk about some of the unique things that you have going?
Yeah, that would be great. So, like you said, there's a couple things that Backswath is doing with our peer group program that is different than other providers. So, some, like you say, perks or benefits to being a member of a Backswath peer group. One of them is the benchmarking program that we have developed for our members. And so not only is Gavin a facilitator of one of our peer groups, but he actually delivers the benchmarking program as well. So before I kind of list all the other things, I'll let Gavin, talk about our benchmarking program in a bit more detail.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So each farm is given the opportunity to participate. If you're in any of our peer groups, you're given the opportunity to participate in our benchmarking program. So they get a once a year. They will provide a benchmarking report on their financial performance, and then initiate conversation and sharing and comparing and benchmarking. So a quick overview of the benchmark program is that it's about the financial performance of the farm. It's to help them understand and benchmark their performance against their own past performance, which is what we call the best benchmark. But then there are some other ones, so such as industry standards, targets, and then against the performance of the other members in the peer group, and then in our wider peer group community as well. And what we do a little bit differently is that we don't focus so much on per acre production benchmarks. We feel that farmers are already pretty comfortable in that area. So we focus rather on business metrics in the categories of liquidity, solvency, profitability, and financial efficiency. A per acre is important. And so we allow for that type of discussion in the peer groups, in some of the discussions that the farmers will have. But instead, we focus on how the financial performance of the farms affects management decisions, and then vice versa. Now that you've got your benchmark and you've had an opportunity to discuss amongst the group how you're doing in relation to the industry standards and in relation to the group, what will you do back on your farm to try to improve that financial position? So we always try to tie it back to the management plans, back to what you're going to do on your farm. And so that's a little bit about that. It happens once a year. And like I said, each participant is invited to participate. So that's the benchmarking component. And I know Sarah's got a couple others that she wants to share with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to what Gavin's saying about the benchmarking, what better environment to really look at your financial performance than in a group of your peers. It really, the discussions that come from it supplement the report that we give really well. Like, our members don't just receive a report on paper that, has a bunch of numbers and ratios. They're able to really talk to their group as well as their facilitator about what those numbers mean. Hey, like, your ratio looks really good on this. What decisions are you making that have gotten you there? So it's really a great, peer groups are a great environment for benchmarking. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we've really developed that in our program. But we also do webinars for our members. So we do 3 webinars a year where we bring in speakers that, the choice of speaker and topic is either based on consistent discussions that we're seeing go on in our peer group. Like maybe a couple facilitators will come to me and say, hey, like, everybody has this topic, like maybe it's HR, for example. I think it would be really great if we brought someone in to really go through this and let the whole program hear some advice and some tips on that. Or the speaker and topic might come from Backswath consulting practice. So a consultant might come to me and say, hey, I just had a really great discussion with one of our clients, and I think this would be really applicable to your peer group members. So, we'll bring in a speaker on that. Or it could be someone or a topic that we think might challenge the members' existing ideas, or, present something totally new. So that's the basis for our webinars. We've also developed a component of international collaboration for our peer group. So we're doing that in 2 different ways. The first way is for our emerging farm manager members. And that's an opportunity for them to meet with other farmers that are at a similar stage in their career from, wherever in the globe. Or on the globe. So for that one, we combined, it's really professional development. So we bring in speakers that are going to speak to something that's relevant to those members. And then the other half of the gatherings or the get-togethers is farm tours, So, you've got an opportunity to see a farm from someone maybe in Australia or the UK, a farm that you might not get to see otherwise, and ask them questions that and have discussion that's around the similarities and differences of some of the challenges and opportunities that they all have. So that's the first part of our international component. And then the second part is we are forming peer groups with other farmers in North America and around the world for our senior farm management groups. And that'll be run like a traditional peer group, but just with people from outside of Canada being involved as well. So that's what we're doing with international component. You know, we've really got relationships globally. So we're trying to leverage those so that our members can get the benefit of those relationships that we already have at Backswath. So that's that. And then lastly, we have launched our online community, which we are really, really excited about. So, the thing that I kind of always say about peer groups is that we're not putting peer groups together as an opportunity for us to share knowledge with members. Like, it's totally different from our consulting practice. Peer groups it's really about us facilitating the opportunity for members to share their knowledge, their existing knowledge, their experiences, and learn from each other. So with our online community, it's really creating an opportunity for discussion in between meetings amongst your group, but then also with everyone that's in our program. And so, it kind of combines elements of social media where, people will be able to post like what they're doing that day and what's going on. But, the big part of it is going to be the discussions that they're able to have. You'll be able to ask a question directly to one member if you'd like, to your peer group, to other farm managers or other emerging farm managers or agribusiness members only, or to the program at large. So, kind of an example, we've been speaking with someone who's interested in investing in a different province than the one that they live in. So on our community, there's a map that shows all of our members where they're located across Canada. So this person can open up that map and say like, okay, cool. So I'm looking at investing in Ontario and I see that there's, 3 farms. Let me go to this one's profile. Okay, so, they also have a grain elevator. This is relevant to me. Let me reach out to that person and ask them about, some of the investing I'm thinking about doing and see what they have to say. So it's really, the community is bringing together the members from across our program and giving them access to everyone's knowledge, everyone's experience, not just the people that are within their peer group. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, but we're really, really excited about it. So yeah, and it's a web version as well as an app. So really convenient, really cool.
That's fantastic. This is really exciting, guys. Can I ask you one quick question? I have a spidey sense for sometimes what people might be thinking, maybe because it's what I think when I am looking into these things. Farmers are very private creatures. And I know, Gavin, I asked you something similar about this one time too. They're interested. And I've had this concern too, reaching out to a consultant or a coach. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to share my information. Are they going to share it? Are they going to tell people? I want to really bring that up because the private nature of farmers, they might be going, if I was watching this, I'd be going, fantastic. This sounds so great, but I'm a little bit concerned that I'm going to get in there and then people are going to be spreading all my information everywhere. So do you guys want to maybe touch on that? I could see that being maybe just like the one holdup for farmers on joining.
Yeah. So, with our peer groups, we have really strict confidentiality policies and really like a no second chance kind of take on it. So, that's, people can feel comforted knowing that confidentiality is something that we take really seriously. But in our experience, because everybody's coming with that mindset already, we've never had a confidentiality issue because there's mutual respect amongst our members where, they know, well, I don't want them to talk about my farm, so I'm not going to talk about theirs, or, kind of some of the issues that come up. And another thing, Gavin touched on it earlier about the geographical separation between our members. That also really helps. It's, you're not necessarily going to be in a peer group with people that are a part of your community. It's people that, you maybe have never spoken to or heard of before. depending on how the group sets up their geographical separation policy. But that really helps with that as well. So yeah, we do. I'm glad you asked the question, because it's definitely something people ask all the time. And it's something that we are very strict about. So yeah.
If I was a farmer in the audience, that would be my main question. And maybe that's me as a person. And I know a lot of farmers are that way. So I wanted to address that. I didn't want to not address it, because I've had that concern reaching out to people. So I think that's an important one. So thank you for answering that. Okay, guys, this is wonderful, game-changing work that you guys are doing. I really believe it. To me, in farming, and again, I've said this word a million times, it's a very solitary profession. And we talk about mental health a lot in agriculture, right? The stress, the depression, some of the issues that go on. And to me, I think there's a strong connection in it being solitary and getting isolated and not having that peer group. And every time I get a guest on the show talking about having somebody to support their team, whether it's a consultant or in this case, having a group of peers there, to me, that's game changing for an industry that works very much alone. So I think this is cool. Kudos to you guys. Okay. So if you guys don't have anything more to share about the peer group, I think we kind of walked through all the ins and outs. I would like for you guys to leave some final words of wisdom, thoughts, encouragement for anyone in our audience. And then I'll get you to share how they can find out more about peer groups if they're interested.
Yeah, for sure. So, there are a couple of things that I think are really foundational to peer groups that people should be looking for. Of course, we want you to join a Backswath peer group, but there are some other informal groups that consider themselves to be peer groups, and I guess I would, there's points that we incorporate into our groups and into our structure that I feel and we feel are really important to a successful peer group. So like I say, of course, we want you to join a Backswath peer group, but whatever peer group you're looking at, first of all, I would say you need to make sure that the group has a formal structure in place. It's really important that, you've got agendas that are being sent out. A charter document is really helpful to establish like what exactly the group believes, what their values are, how they're going to operate themselves, and, certain rules around, like we were talking about, geographical distance, adding new members, things like that. So, just really have a formal structure in place. The facilitation is really a huge component of the peer group. So at Backswath, our facilitators are also consultants, farm and agribusiness consultants. But again, like I said before, they're not there to give advice. They're really there to make sure that, the discussions are moving forward, that everyone is getting a chance to speak. It's not just one person dominating the conversation while other people are sitting there wishing they could ask a question, but not getting the opportunity to. So we train our facilitators both internally, but then they also have external training on some of those facilitation skills. So really important for a peer group that you've got a strong facilitator that knows how to facilitate, not just knows about the industry. So that's, really important. Like Gavin said, the geographical distance, it comes up a lot. Some members decide that, they're not totally opposed with someone down the road being a part of their peer group, especially if they're maybe not in the same sector. So, maybe it's a mixed farm versus a grain farm. And so, they're not as worried about it. We don't have a strict policy around the same type of farm in our groups, because we think that, different farms, different experiences, all of it adds to the opportunity for our members to learn. So that's kind of on that. And then the biggest thing is, for anybody thinking about joining a peer group or who might be watching, thinking, this could be cool, this could be for me. If you're the type of person that is open to hearing from other people, open to maybe, being challenged at times, of course, in a respectful environment, but maybe you're looking for someone to keep you accountable, to kind of push you a little bit more. But then you also have to be the type of person that's willing to share. So you have to be open. You have to be, willing to talk about the good, the bad, the even better. I don't want to say the ugly, but the even better that you've been through in your career. because that's really what's going to help other people. And yeah, of course, there is an investment, but our members, like we've got longstanding members that have said to us that joining a peer group and the investment that they've made, both time and money, it's not comparable to any other farm management tool that they've used in their career. So it's really, really a unique tool. So like I say, if you're, willing to share, willing to listen, and willing to invest a little bit of time and money, then, peer groups is definitely right for you. It's definitely right for your farm.
Excellent. Those are amazing final words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So if someone is interested in finding out more, is there a website? Can they have a conversation? How do they go about getting in touch with you guys?
Yeah. So, visiting our website, we've got a whole peer group page that describes a lot of what Gavin and I have been talking about today. So that's backswath.com. Or people are welcome to contact me directly. So email is pure.groups@backswath.com. Or they can phone as well. All of my contact information is up on the website. So yeah, reach out to me. I'm the girl. I'm the peer group girl. So
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for the work you're doing. I know I said it earlier, but I do think this is a game-changing concept for the agriculture industry. I really do. So kudos to you. Thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing.
Thank you for having us, and thanks for the opportunity.
Oh,
yes,
my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. And you in the audience, if you enjoyed this, get in touch with Backswath, find out more, and also share it out there so other farmers can learn about the game-changing concept, the work that Backswath is doing to help farmers improve their operation. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.